MD Online Editor. Before we get started, of course, subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up like thing, share the video, leave some comments below. We're live now, so we're going to be taking your live comments in the chat, the live chat, and also turn on that notification bell. So, do I hate Big Ramy? I'll explain why that question even came up. But first of all, no, I do not hate Big Ramy. I don't think anyone hates Ramy. Anyone who's ever met Ramy, he's like a big teddy bear. He's always smiling, positive attitude. I've never heard him talk crap about anybody. He's a good dude. I mean, how could you not like Big Ramy? I'll get to where this came from soon, but I want to put that out there first. I have nothing but respect for Big Ramy. I like Ramy a lot as a human being, especially. He's definitely someone who is bodybuilding not for himself, for his own glory or for attention, like a lot of us. A lot of it doesn't even try to. It's not even about money for himself. He's trying to support his family. He's trying to represent his nation, Egypt, his fans. He's trying to make his fans happy. He doesn't do this for his own glory. He's not the type who's sitting there taking selfies of himself all day long or look how great I am. No. You know, that's why I think a lot of us were critical of him. He doesn't post enough on social media. You know, he's Mr. Olympia. He's supposed to, but he's not that type of guy. He's a private person. He keeps his head down, does the work. All right. So why did this come up in the first place? So on Bob Chickarilla's Instagram, IFBB Pro Bob Chick, Bob made a post showing Big Ramy 2013 New York Pro win, front lat spread. And then next to that was the Arnold Classic that just happened a couple weeks back, front lat spread, trying to show that there's a regression in the physique, which that's not even why I'm making this video. It's not to talk about his physique or anything like that. It's just to address this. So some guy named Frame with Brain says, at Ron Harris Muscle, that's me, you and your dying publication, Muscular Development, we've been dying for a long time. Wouldn't you think we'd be dead by now if we were really dying? No, we're doing okay. We're still publishing a magazine every month, so that's not an easy thing to do these days, trust me. So he says, we've campaigned against Big Ramy since he started competing in the sport. Ron Harris, you are not qualified to weigh in on this subject. You define bias. To which I responded, Frame with Brain, I guess you missed, by the way, he's got a private, all these guys who talk shit, they always have a private account, always. A lot of times it's zero posts, private account. They're just burner accounts so they can troll, make these type of comments. So anyway, he goes on to say, I said to him back, I guess you missed the 10, 12 articles I wrote about him, giving him nothing but praise, and the 3 to 4 times we featured Ramy on the cover, but that doesn't fit your agenda. I think we've actually had him on the cover more like 6, maybe more than that. So this is the most recent cover. I mean, if we were campaigning against Ramy, if we didn't like Ramy, would we put him on the cover? No. I mean, even I wrote a lot of good articles about Ramy. The late Peter McGuff wrote a couple really awesome articles. Peter McGuff, rest in peace, greatest bodybuilding writer, reporter there ever was and ever will be. Very, very complimentary. We've never written anything badly about Ramy. Never, ever, ever. So a minute later, someone said, Tokyo Justice jumps in. Ron Harris Muscle. Come on, Ron. You've been hating Ramy from day one on MD Forum. Same Ron Harris, right? Yeah, there's only one Ron Harris. I've been critical of his physique. So this is what I said. Tokyo Justice, criticizing a physique is not hating. I happen to think he's a great guy. And again, I've written 10 to 12 articles about Ramy that were 100% positive. Why do you keep ignoring that? Right, because maybe I'm not the hater you claim I am. And I did a hand clap emoji. So Frame with Brain chimes back in and says, go back and watch your videos you made about Ramy. They're public records on YouTube channel. You hate Ramy with your entire being and you keep campaigning against him. People will never take your bait. Campaigning against him. Guys, I've admittedly said his physique is not the type of physique I prefer. I much prefer shape. The Kevin Leveronis, the Flex Wheelers, the Phil Heaths. I'm a fan in the fact that I appreciate Cutler, Dorian, the more Herculean physiques that maybe don't have the prettier shape, but they have just Nasser, crazy amounts of muscle, get into awesome condition. Nothing but respect for Ramy. Just because I'm not a fan of somebody's physique, that doesn't mean I hate them. There have been people who I was a huge fan of their physique, but I knew them or knew people that knew them, and I knew they weren't good guys. So, but I keep that very separate. When I'm talking about physique, it's never personal, never. And maybe I've been biased at times toward some guys who I'm very close friends with, but I've never had an agenda against anybody. I mean, how would that look if I'm supposed to be an impartial journalist, reporter, whatever, and I'm just saying, this guy sucks. I hate him. I don't hate anybody. And again, I don't hate Ramy, and I don't think anybody hates Ramy. I've never heard anyone say anything bad about him personally. Some people love his physique, some people don't love his physique, but you know what? That's the beauty of bodybuilding. It's a subjective sport. You can be a fan of whoever you want, and any physique that you feel is the ideal, that's your opinion, and that's cool. You don't have to like the same types of physiques I do. I don't have to like what you like. You don't have to like what your buddy at the gym likes. We all have different preferences for what inspires us, what motivates us, what we appreciate in terms of physique. So let's see what you guys have to say. That's why we're live. We're live to talk to you guys. So, do I hate Big Ramy? No. It's a clickbaity title, but it's a way to get people to click, right? Of course, I knew going in this was just going to go into he should have won the Arnold Classic with the comments, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm not gonna really debate or argue that. That's your opinion. Mirza Irfan, Big Ramy is win Big Arnold Classic, so he felt Ramy was the rightful winner. Truth One, did you hear Big Lenny got a special invite to 2022 Olympia? Big Lenny's still alive. Lenny from the Delray Misfits. Does anyone honestly know what happened to Jason Genova? I'm curious. Jason was on the scene a long time and then just poof, like he fell off the face of the earth. I hope he's okay. Legitimately, I've met Jason a few times. I don't wish ill on that young man at all. He's got to be like 30. He's got to be like 33, 34 by now at this point, maybe even older. He's in his early 30s, I know that. But Jason, what happened to Johnny? Brian Fogler, Big Ram. Sergio Emonji, Big Ramy. Automatically, it's on the Mr. Olympia. Muscular Development, great magazine. I love reading them. Thank you. Yeah, information, great article. Yeah, he's he doesn't have to qualify for the Olympia. For those of you who don't know, as a Mr. Olympia champion, he's forever qualified for life to enter the Mr. Olympia whenever he wants to. He doesn't have to requalify. An Olympia win, that's it. You're good for life. Information, great articles. Our stuff. I thought the special invite was questionable for Ramy. You thought differently, Ron. I don't see how I hate Ramy. Yeah, I mean, the special invite thing. So who do we invite? The late Cedric got a special invite. Back in the day when Joe Weider was still alive, he used to extend that special invitation just to guys like Gunther Schlierkamp that he felt would be good for the show, marketability-wise, to sell more tickets, to sell more advertising, sponsorships. It had nothing to do with, well, this guy deserves to be in the Olympia. It was just like Joe Weider thought, I can invite anyone. It's my show, and he did. So I had no problem with Ramy. And Derek Lunsford got the special invite last year. A lot of people were upset about that. I wasn't upset. I'm not upset about anybody getting a special invite because they only invite one person. It's not like they're inviting 20 people. And yeah, I get it that they didn't have to qualify and other people did, but this isn't a sport like in the sense that, the powers that can do whatever. The promoters, they can do pretty much whatever they want if they really want to. Varangian Vigilante. A lot of the comments are coming from a place of passion and lack of seeing their own biases. Yeah, I get it. And, Ramy's lucky. Any bodybuilder, any pro bodybuilder is lucky to have fans that are that devoted to them and that much, who are that supportive of them and think that highly of them. So, in fact, I remember being kind of jealous of the Middle Eastern bodybuilders because their fan base was a lot more loyal. They didn't turn on a switch on a dime the way American fans, they might be a fan of somebody and then they do poorly at one show and then they turn on them like in a heartbeat. The Middle Eastern fans, they see, especially, of Ramy and that crew, very, very loyal to their champions. I mean, you saw the hero's welcome Ramy's gotten a couple times when he went back to Egypt, hundreds of thousands of people. I can't think of one American Olympia champion who ever got that kind of reception from his own people. Bodybuilding here is just not that. It's not that appreciated. Dave Thomas, after watching an interview with Ramy for the first time, I realized what a genuine nice guy he is. Of course, being a professional bodybuilder means you have to have thick skin. Yeah, Ramy is one of the nicest guys in the sport, for sure. I'm happy he's learned a lot of English and I can speak with him because I remember when he won New York Pro 2013, we were staying at the same hotel, the Millennium Hilton. And I saw him at breakfast the next morning. I went up to congratulate him, and I think the only English he knew was thank you at the time. That was 10 years ago. He speaks pretty damn good English now. Not easy. Desktop Bodybuilding, that's Xavier Willis in Australia. What's up, Ron? My son's in Australia as we speak, so I know that Brisbane, Australia, it is 6:34 a.m. right now. I always know what time it is in Brisbane. That's where my son is for the next few months. Hate is bad. I only hate people like on late night mystery TV like Jeffrey Dahmer. I actually lived in Jeffrey Dahmer's. Michael Russo, I actually lived in Jeffrey Dahmer's dormitory in college. He went to college for one semester, didn't he? Yeah, if you guys haven't seen the Dahmer miniseries with Evan Peters on Netflix, wow, so well done. So well done. What a great show that was. Yeah. Desktop audio, that's Xavier. Do you think it was the stem cells that were the major reason for improvements, more in terms of the muscles firing by reducing the chronic inflammation around the nerves? Well, Xavier, a lot of people have been chiming in, people who have had stem cell treatments. Were chiming in on Giles' show, MD Global, because Zach Kahn and Giles talked about it. And they don't feel the these people were saying, I've had stem cell treatments, and it takes much longer to see real improvement in anything. It's not a real quick, it removes pain very quickly, but as far as actually repairing things like nerve damage, I don't know what it's even capable of doing. I think it takes longer. So Zach Kahn, his speculation, and Giles too, I think, was that he just came in a lot fuller for the Arnold. He had been really flat at the Olympia, which a lot of the guys were flat at the Olympia because these are huge guys that are used to eating every 2 hours. And backstage, they were back there for like 7.5 hours, and a lot of them didn't have enough food because they never expected to be back there that long, and they flattened out just because their bodies were starved. All the glycogen had evaporated into the ether. Yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer. Thanks for the answer, Ron. Oh, you're welcome, Xavier. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's true, but his back, his lower lats did look better. The tricep was a little more full, the one that he'd lost. He looked a lot better overall. I just think he got beat by, it's a hell of a crew. There's some amazing talent, man. I mean, Samson's awesome. Nick Walker's, he's a freak. He was in great condition. Andrew Jacked. I mean, these are all top-notch guys who all have potential to be Mr. Olympia. So for them to beat Ramy, and I know the Ramy fans they're trying to argue that he should have won, but I never saw him winning, even though, they could say he wasn't compared to the guys in this and that. I never saw him in the room for the win. And it's just because these guys that's what happens is new talent comes in any sport, and the older talent eventually fades away. They don't look as good, or they don't play as good, or whatever, as well as they used to, because Father Time catches up to everybody. Ramy's not old, but he's been a pro for 10 years. And a guy with that much muscle to diet down and do that many shows for a decade, that's a lot. It's amazing that he's lasted this long, because a lot of pros, they don't last more than 4 or 5 years in the sport. So 10 years at that level, carrying that much size, and the fact that he won, he was winning right out of the gate. His pro debut, the New York Pro, beat a lot of good guys. I was there that year for sure. And yeah, I was nothing but in praise of Ramy there, because he was something we had never seen. We hadn't seen anything that freaky since like Ronnie. It had been a little while. It had been a few years. So, especially New York Pro. New York Pro has always loved freaks like Marcus Rule and Nasser and Paul Dillette. Always. Let's see. Again, my flavor. Big Lenny. I'm not going to interview Big Lenny. Why am I going to interview Big Lenny? If I was going to interview Big Lenny, I would have done it like 5 years ago when the Del Rey Misfits were a big deal and popular, and everybody was talking about them. There's no point in doing it now. It wouldn't benefit my channel. That's my bottom line. Is I need to make video content that people are going to watch, and it's tough. There's a billion other channels out there to choose from. So yeah, I don't see the point in Big Lenny. Get money with Cooks. He was just peaked and full. That's all. The stem cells haven't even done anything. This is more like a Physique he could have brought to the O, except he filled the holes in this time. Yeah, I really think he brought just a much fuller look, which even made the condition look a lot better, because when you're full, the muscles push out against the skin, and the separations and striations are deeper. Whereas if you're flat and the muscle's not coming out as far from the bone or whatever, the body, you don't have the separations and striations as deep and clear, because it's all kind of muddled. Dave Thomas, is it true that Ramy has 2 wives, Ron? One is enough for most of us, LOL. Yes, he took a second wife, I think it was last year, and in his religion, the Muslim religion, and in that culture, in Egypt, I don't know how it differs from country to country. Like I think like places like Saudi Arabia, you can have, I don't know if it's unlimited, but I've heard about guys who have like 20 wives. Ramy can have up to 4 wives if he wants. That's what's legally allowed in Egypt. So he's got 2 wives, and he's taking care of them. He's, like I said, Ramy is unique. I don't think he does any of this for himself, for his own ego or glory or even financial gain. He does it to take care of his family, to make his fans proud, to make his country proud. Yeah, I have nothing but respect for Ramy. Anyone that knows the man, if you've met him, or even if you just know about him, you can't hate him. What would you hate? Someone who's like always talking crap about other people. Yeah, I could see maybe you'd hate them because that could get on your nerves after a while. Or other reasons. But let's go back. Let's see. Desktop bodybuilding 100%. So much quality. Thank you. Hadif Muhammad, what's your opinion about judges not putting Ramy in the middle and give him the opportunity to compete with the other guys? They didn't see him as being in the top three. I don't. You'd have to have a judge explain. I don't know exactly what their rationale was. I mean, I would have put him in the middle once, but on the second night they did put him. It was a 4-man call out at the end of the confirmation round. That's when you knew he was in the top 4. Because Friday night it wasn't exactly clear. Sean Clarita was only 3 points away from him Friday night. They were close, but apparently Ramy pulled ahead Saturday night, and they did. They had the top 4 guys. They ran him through the rounds, the mandatories, 4 different times, so everyone got a chance to stand in every spot. So he did get in the middle, but he didn't get it Friday night. But yeah, I don't want to debate that because I'm not a judge. Let's see. Michael Russo, is it true Ramy has 2 wives? Oh, is that the same thing? Yes, he has 2 wives. Yes, Sherry Bucci kissed me on the cheek. Jessica Alpoklaba? What? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know who those people are. Sherry Bucci and Jessica. Are you trying to say Jessica Alba? I don't know. Varangian Vigilante. Since I live in Europe, I have to watch the big shows via live stream. It's completely different from seeing a show at the venue. So I accept that the judges have a better view on the athletes than I. Well, I'll tell you, Gilco Productions, who did the video for the Arnold Classic, they do a fantastic job. It's like crystal clear, the picture on the screen. You've seen all the clips that, especially the athletes been putting on their Instagram and so on. I actually think the live stream in this case was better than if you were sitting anywhere except maybe the first 5-6 rows. If you were sitting like 10 rows, 20, 30 rows back, you probably would have had a much better view with the live stream. Gilco Productions, amazing job those guys do. 2 young guys. I was sitting next to their mom, talking to their mom about how they got started and all that. Cool story. Tyler Durden from Fight Club. Ron, how many wives do you have? I've had 1 wife since June of 1991. So we'll be having our 32nd wedding anniversary in June. I got married at age 21. She was 20, but yeah, 1 wife is enough. I don't know. I never tried having 2 wives. It's not legal in the U.S. Even like in the Mormon religion, they can do it, but they're still only legally married to 1 wife. So if you see these shows like Sister Wives, only 1 is the legal wife. The others, in their religion, their culture, the Mormons, Church of Latter-day Saints, they're considered their wives, but legally, no, they're not. Only 1 is. Let's see. Jessica Albert. Let's see. Dane, that's the real secret to Ramy's leg size and glute striations, multiple wives. No, he's had huge legs since forever. I've said this before. I think his legs need to come down a little bit. They're too big. They're too big that you can't, nothing should be distracting. You shouldn't look at any pro bodybuilder and go, geez, look at his chest, or geez, look at this and that. It should be like a big flow. Think about the most perfectly symmetrical bodybuilders of all time. Guys like Flex Wheeler, Chris Cormier, go back in time, Frank Zane, Bob Paris, Serge Nubret. You can't really pinpoint on a guy like Flex Wheeler. What was Flex Wheeler better body parts? Nothing. They were all balanced in proportion and developed. That's how it's supposed to be. Nothing's supposed to jump out as either very strong or very weak. Everything should be nice and balanced. Tyler Durden, do you think Andrew Jack is willing to put himself through another prep as strenuous as the Arnold prep? Yeah, I mean, he's got a taste of, he's been top 3 at the Arnold now. I mean, he's climbing up the ladder. I think he wants that Olympia title. So yeah, absolutely. And props to him and to Chris Aceto, even though Chris said Sid's the only good interviewer in the sport and no one comes close. That's like me saying to you, Chris, Hani Rambod's the only good coach. No one comes close. You guys are both great coaches. So, and I'm not a horrible interviewer. I didn't say I was the best, but I'm not bad. Come on, guys. Ron, get on trend already? No, not in March. Let's see. Okay. Stuart Halpern, on the pro score sheet, why don't we see each individual score from each judge? And the high and lows are tossed out. They used to do that. This is the way the score sheets were released when I competed when. Yeah, it was that way. Yeah. So a gentleman it's in Arabic, your name, so I can't pronounce this, I'm sorry. You don't hate him, meaning I don't hate him, but you don't like the fact you don't control him, and he comes and talk to you. Well, I don't control any of these pro bodybuilders. None of them. I'm closer. Some of them I've known for a long time, and I can just call them up and say, I want to do an interview. It's a lot harder to get one with Ramy, but Ramy's been gracious. He's given me interviews at the Olympia, at the Arnold. He doesn't avoid me, and he stopped and took a picture with me. He stopped me, and no, I have nothing against Ramy. I really don't. And I don't control anybody, and I don't, begrudge anyone for not being able to control them. How could I control any of these guys? Come on. Magazines aren't as relevant as they used to be. I admit that. YouTube channel. How could I control? I have no influence over the judges, the promoters. There's nothing I could do to either really benefit them competitively or hurt them. There's nothing. I'm powerless in that aspect. So, no, I don't. If you want to clarify that, I'll keep talking about it. Stuart Halpern, when you see Sampson get a total 10, that's a perfect score. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. I mean, sometimes. So what was it Bob said? Bob said there were 9 judges, and if someone gets a 5, they throw out the too high and too low. So that means only 5 out of the 9 scores were actually computed or added up. So it's possible that some of the ones that were thrown out had Andrew winning or Nick winning, more likely Nick, probably because he was second. It's possible that some of those scores are thrown out because they throw out the too high scores and the too low scores just to make sure everyone's on the same page, because they're all supposed to be looking for the same attributes in the physiques. So Ron, get on trend already, LOL. Maybe a little bit in the summer. Maybe. People are going to get mad at me if I go on trend. They don't want me. Nobody wants me using trend. I understand. Super toxic. Dirt Frog. Big Ramy now is like an 06 Ronnie or Branch Horn. He's almost done. The stem cells were a last resort. I don't see him hanging around for much longer. I wouldn't write him off just yet. I wouldn't. I mean, let's see what the stem cells do. I believe he only had one treatment. Isn't that right? Didn't he just have one treatment in that whole time before the Arnold? So I don't know what stem cells are capable of doing. And, if he's got the money and the time to go get stem cell treatments, let's see if it works. Let's see. I'm not giving up on the guy. I've written people off in the past and they've proved me wrong. They've come back and done very well. So I don't write anybody off anymore. Unless they say I'm done, I retire. Then I said, okay, well, they're gone. But Mod Shahir, Ramy's current physique isn't much different. Where'd that go? Oops. Isn't much different than what he brought in 2020, 2021. He had the same flaws those years too. What suddenly changed? He went from winning to 4th at Arnold. Better guys came along. I mean, Andrew Jack wasn't around back then. Sampson didn't look like this back then. Nick Walker wasn't quite at that level yet. New guys are coming in and they're great. And a few years from now there'll be more great guys, and maybe they'll start beating Nick and Sampson and Andrew and pushing them down. That's usually how it goes. New talent comes in and pushes the old talent away, basically. It's a Tony Huge harem. It's allowed in Islamic religion to have up to 4 wives. Okay, so thank you. So that's the entire religion. I thought it was just Egypt. I didn't know if it was varied from country to country. So thank you for clarifying that, because I took a world religion class like 1987, fall of 87 in college. It's been a long time. Let's see. It's a Tony Huge harem. Dave Thomas, what are your thoughts on them bringing the Masters Olympia back, Ron? Good or bad? I'll tell you after the show. I'll tell you after they hold it. I'm curious to see who they select, because it's invitation only. You can't just go into it. They have to apply. And it's crazy. I see people saying, I'm doing the Masters Olympia. I say, did you not read any of the posts that they make on their Instagram? You have to apply and send an application and current pictures and all that. I'm curious to see who enters it and what they look like at the show. Maybe it's a good idea. Maybe they'll start having it every year, or maybe that'll be a one and done. We'll see. It's too soon to start talking about that. Varangi and Vigilante, especially in 4K videos and pictures, can differ from reality. So we might see everything ultra sharp, but still not in 3D. It just has an illusion of depth. Yeah, That's one thing Bob Chicolo has said is the one thing that makes a big difference in person is you see in 3 dimensions, unless you have 3D TV or something. So seeing in 3 dimensions does give a different perspective. You see detail, you see things, you do see things a little differently. So, you know, and personally, I like to be right up front. I feel like if I'm not in the first few rows, it's like pointless. I can't really see everything that I want as well as I want to see. And clearly my vision's not that great. I wear glasses. Gentlemen, I don't read Arabic, but it says America can have threesome and foursome and can't have 2 wives. Sleeping with so many women is good, about married 2 is bad. Oh, I don't think that's a good thing. Honestly, I'll tell you right now, I think America is in a moral cave of depravity right now. It's a godless nation. It's like there's no people. It's gone from, using women as an example, when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, a woman who was promiscuous was shamed and ridiculed. And women who were monogamous and married a man and had a family, they were the ones who were given respect and admiration. And now it's like totally flipped. Now the young girls are praised and celebrated for being very, very promiscuous and racking up body counts. No, I think having 2 wives or 4 wives or whatever, nothing wrong with that. You're taking care of them. You're taking care of your family. No, I have no problem with that. I don't think the sexual practices of modern America, especially the younger people now, so immoral, so depraved. It's like there's no right or wrong anymore. It's almost, I don't want to keep talking about that. Let me move on. Matthew Dean. So just to set it straight, I don't look down on the Muslim practice of having multiple wives. I think that's better than people cheating on each other. I think it's better than people going these, you say, well, you can't judge. Yeah, you can judge if you want. I can judge. You know, there's people that go to these like sex clubs now and they'll swap all night. And like a woman will be with 5, 10, I've heard like 20 guys in the night at a sex club. That's disgusting. And these people they're disgusting. They're nasty. Back to bodybuilding. Matthew Dean, yeah, all those guys were perfectly symmetrical, but they didn't win the Olympia. Most of the Mr. Olympians had a standout freaky party. Well, yeah. Sean Roden, what was his best body part? Dexter Jackson, what was his best body part? Can't think of it. Phil Heath, you could say his arms, his shoulders were really freaky. Dorian had the freaky back. Jay, I guess the legs, but Jay was just big and freaky everywhere. Ronnie, big and freaky everywhere. His back obviously was one of the best. But yeah, I mean, the Mr. Olympia has usually been about big, freaky guys with pretty good shape and really good structure. You need a certain amount of size. It's rare when a guy who's not the freakishly big wins the Olympia, obviously. I mean, Hadi is, he's shorter, but the guy's massive. If you stand next to him, you see how massive he is. He's so thick. Let's see, I always got Michael Russo again. Till any of these guys, including myself, do the work, Ronnie Coleman's the measuring stick. People ask me who's the best Michelin. To me, Ronnie Coleman would smoke all these guys. Ronnie at his best. Ronnie in his prime. Let's say even I liked him lighter. Personally, I liked him in his first 2 Olympia wins and that Arnold Classic win when he was like around 245, 250 for those wins versus when he got close to 300. I think Ronnie at 250 would just destroy any of these guys who are competing right now. That's just my opinion. I was there and I saw Ronnie live in person winning all those Olympias, and I don't think we're going to see anyone like that for a while. I mean, we have some amazing bodybuilders now, don't get me wrong. I'm not putting down the guys today. We have some crazy, crazy good physiques. Let's see. Gentlemen in Arabic, if you can put your name, Muhammad, or whatever it is in English, I can refer to you, but I can't read Arabic. I can barely read English, right? Says, what I mean, if you don't have and can't tell people what to do and what not to do, guys get mad and you go to war and fight them. I don't think the U.S. is fighting anybody. The U.S. is such a weak-ass pansy nation now. This America, God, it's not the America that I grew up in. We were like the superpower of the world. We used to dominate the world. You know, people were in fear of America, the greatest nation on earth. we're not the greatest nation on earth anymore. I'm sorry to say. I wish I could say we were, but I don't think anyone in the world's afraid of America anymore. It's gone downhill so badly. I respect you and think you're a great interviewer. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Don't listen to the dumb comments, Ron. It's your job to critique the physiques, all physiques, just like with me when Phil had midsection problems. Yeah. Like I said, when you're criticizing, there's a way to do it. If you're doing it in a very mean way, that's not right. If you're, like Phil, when Phil had his hernia issue and the bubble gut, a lot of people were just so cruel because they love to see a champion, someone who was up so high. They love to see him get knocked down off the mountain. It's human nature. It's just jealousy. People don't like to see others succeed. And human nature is we like to see successful people taken down a notch or two. And it's sad, but that's humanity. The unknown Mr. Ronnie Coleman has also gotten stem cells in recent years. Yeah. He's still not able to walk without some kind of assistance device. Yeah, he's been doing stem cells for about 2 years now, and he can't walk without those crutches. And he goes around on a chair most of the time. But yeah, they've taken away a lot of his pain, apparently. He's not in anywhere near the amount of pain, so he doesn't have to depend on pain pills anymore like he used to. But the stem cells haven't really seemed to done a whole lot for Ronnie's mobility, unfortunately. I'd love to see Ronnie walking around again, believe me. It's hard to see somebody who you thought of as superhuman, indestructible, like an alien or, a supernatural being. Ronnie was just like, geez, this, I saw him in his prime. I saw him train I trained with him in his prime once. I saw him train a few times, and he was just, to see him go from that to barely being able to walk, and he still trains and everything, but it's tough to see what he's had to go through these last, it's been going on for about 15 years now, right? Gentlemen in Arabic, but that's American thing, like to have control other countries, other people's thoughts, and want people to do what they want. Yeah, I mean, we used to. I wouldn't apply a lot of this stuff to the U.S. now. America's a very weak nation now. Weak, so weak compared to what it used to be. I don't think our U.S. is controlling anybody anymore. I think we're lucky like China doesn't invade us or something at this point, or Russia. Oh man, Michael Russo. Yep, Ron. Some of these new guys are really good. Mike R. I think his quads were a little too big. Yeah, and because that was like one of the only things I ever had when I competed was these big quads, big chest and big quads. So, and I was always a fan of like Tom Platz, Paul DeMeo. A lot of guys, the guys who had these massive quads, but I think when they get to a point where they're coming out at like almost right angles because they're so big, I would take him down. I would stop training. But I've asked Ramy about that. He says he's never stopped training anything. He can't stop training leg training because he wouldn't feel like a real bodybuilder if he didn't train legs. But man, those legs are huge. Raymond Jones. What's this say? Gotta scroll down a little bit. Samson overtook Ramy as the most overhyped bodybuilder. Well, he's not overhyped if he won. Usually when we say overhyped, it's somebody that gets a lot of publicity, a lot of expectations, and then they fail. Like they don't win or they do poorly at a show. If Samson didn't, he delivered. So I don't think he was overhyped. Stuart Halburn. So Samson got all ones, that up to 5. If you toss out 4 judges' score, 2 highs and 2 lows, we should see the whole score sheet. If you look at it, not seeing the show, it looks like it was unanimous. Yeah. I'd be curious to see. I'm with you. I'd like to see which judge voted, what their scores were for each judge. I'd like to see that. It would just be interesting to see because it is a subjective sport. They are supposed to all be looking for the same qualities: structure, mass, shape, condition, proportion, symmetry, presentation even factors into that. So I'd be curious to see that myself, honestly. Individual scores from each judge and what they thought of each guy. Mike R. Always remember there's always somebody better. Yeah. I mean, all the champions either eventually lose or, if they're lucky, they go out on top before they ever get beat. But so let's look at undefeated. Lee Haney. Lee Haney retired with 8 Olympia wins at only 31 years old in 1991. Dorian Yates took second, and Dorian was the first guy in a very long time who gave him a real battle. Not to say that guys like Rich Gaspari and Lee Labrada didn't give Lee Haney a run for the money, but Dorian was the first guy that could match Lee on He was the same height. He was just as big. He had the crazy back, just like Lee. He really, I think Lee would have probably got beat by Dorian a year if he had kept going. But he got out with 8 Olympias, so he's undefeated. But yeah, Dave Thomas. Just imagine when Andrew thickens up those hamstrings on the side, he could be a future winner. I said several times, when Andrew Jacked gets a little more back and hamstrings, that posterior chain, when he builds that up, I don't know if anyone's going to be able to beat him at that point. I think that right now he's like a jigsaw puzzle with a couple pieces missing. Once those pieces are in place, I don't know who's beating that. He's got the craziest structure, shoulders out to here, waist like this, really round, full muscle abilities. He just needs to fill out a little more in general. He does look kind of lankier because he has very long arms and legs. So he needs a little bit more overall mass, but especially a little more meat on the back, a little more hamstrings, and then Andrew Jacked might be Mr. Olympia for a while. Who knows? You never know. Stuart helping him. For Simpson, need to release the total score sheet. I think we'll see how the judges are thinking. Yeah, I can't make any demands on the judges. Dane, the thing that's hard to see unless you're in person is thickness front to back. Yeah. Stephen Tello. Are you Nate's? Are you related? Are you Nate's dad? So Stephen Tello is the father of Nate Tello, 212 Pro, who owns Gym Hub in Boston. Awesome gym downtown in the financial, is it near Downtown Crossing? It's near Downtown Crossing T-stop, MBTA stop. Great equipment. Jose Raymond works there as a trainer, trains clients out there, I should say. And Jose helped Nate for about a year before they opened up the place. They went around all over the country and looked at big gyms and tried out all different types of equipment. And Nate handpicked exactly the pieces he wanted for his gym. So there's some great pieces from like Panada Sport in there, Atlantis, just brands that you don't really see very often in most gyms. Like my gym doesn't have any Panada, doesn't have any Atlantis. It's a great gym, but it doesn't have any of those. And Nate is doing the 212 division at New York Pro. It's going to be his pro debut. And I've asked Nate to throw me some videos. We'll put any videos, Road to New York Pro. We'll put it all up for him because cool dude. And he went to Berklee College of Music. Very accomplished guitar player. He's played in several bands. I've heard him play. We did an interview, a Ron Line Report with Nate. And for their graduation, I think it was for Berklee, Steven Tyler, the singer of Aerosmith, came on stage with, kids from the school as the band, and they did Dream On, and Nate was the guitarist as Steven Tyler sang. So he got to be like Joe Perry there for a while. So Steven, good job. And they're from Maine, which is way up, the very top of New England. Up at the Canadian border. It goes all the way up there. My son went to UMaine for a year, and good Lord, what a drive. It was 4.5 hours from here to his campus. Let's see. This message is helpful for review. Let's see. America has recent for the norm. Yeah, Michael's saying America has, the comments being held because, America, we hear about all these crazy sex that, orgies and all this and swapping. And that's a very small amount of the population that engages in all that. Most guys out there are not having all this wild and crazy sex. Trust. Yeah, I mean, it seems that way if you watch TV and movies. That's how it's portrayed. But most people, that's not the reality for most guys here. Dane, to see who the most complete, look at all the poses as silhouettes only and see how much negative space there is. Well, if you're looking at just silhouettes, all you're really seeing is you're getting a good idea of size, yeah, the shape for sure, the structure for sure. You can't tell anything about the condition. You can't see like muscle separation, things like that. But I get your point. Silhouettes would give you a really good example of just shape and structure and overall mass. Just seeing basically the outlines, a silhouette. Renee Wild. Don't forget that Ramy not only did stem cells, but different advanced therapies. And yes, stem cells work. People think stem cells it's a recent thing. You should interview Dr. Akan. Maybe. Not a bad idea. If I did, I'd probably do it with Dr. T. Tuliados because I wouldn't have the best questions. He's a Tuliados, Dr. George. We do a show every Tuesday morning called Ask Dr. Testosterone. He's a medical doctor in Greece. So he would actually have better. When we've interviewed doctors together, I throw in some questions now and then, but he's the one with he's got a better idea what to ask from a medical point of view than I would. Mike R. Samson's a lot bigger than people think. If you see him in person, it's totally different. Yeah, he's huge. I mean, he's 6'1". He was like 297 at the Arnold. If you stand in front of him and talk to him, he's a big, big dude. I mean, Andrew's a huge guy. He's a huge guy. Nick Walker's shorter, but he's thick as hell. He's massive. And Ramy, Ramy's huge. He's big Ramy. He was like 30, I heard 308. I think Chad said he was 308 pounds. He was over 300 for the Arnold, and he was in great condition. The pictures and the thumbnails were taken by Chad, I think 3 days before the show, the Wednesday before the show, in gym lighting at a gym there in Columbus. And you see how freaky he looked, man. He's a freak. Mike, Sam's a lot bigger. Oh, I just said that. Inarius, do an interview with Tony Huge. Yeah. Tony's got plenty of, he does his own videos. He's fine. He doesn't need me to interview him. Varangian Vigilante. Personally, I think that Lee Haney was the peak Mr. Olympia, but of course that's very subjective. Yeah. If you ask 10 fans, and I guess you'd have to ask a wide age range, because if you ask younger guys, they're not going to remember Lee Haney, or everyone remembers Arnold. But if you ask who's your favorite Mr. Olympia, a lot of people have different answers, and that's fine. They were the best of their respective era. So if you say Arnold, you're not wrong. If you say Lee Haney, you're not wrong. Jay, Ronnie, Phil, Franco, anybody that was your biggest inspiration or that you consider the ideal, you're not wrong. It's a completely subjective sport. Let's see, Mike R. 2001 Ronnie, an Arnold Classic. That was his best. Nobody beat him. He didn't look that great at the Olympia in 2000. Oh, okay. 2001 was the year he did. 2001, was that the year he... What was the year Jay almost beat him? Was that 2001 or 2? I think it was 01. Well, then when he won the Arnold, Ronnie only did the Arnold once, and it messed him up for the Olympia because Ronnie had an issue peaking twice in the same year. His body didn't seem to want to do that. But that Arnold Classic that Ronnie won, he was like 245, just shredded. That and his first two Mr. Olympia wins, 98, 99. Definitely the best condition Ronnie was ever in. He was lighter, but damn, the separation was so clear and so deep. Great physique. Let's see. Michael Russo, that Ramy supporter. Yes, Ramy had two wives. Yeah, that's allowed, and that's part of that culture. You can have multiple wives. Hang loose, you the man. Thank you. Gentleman in Arabic. I'd call you by your name, but I can't read that. I don't know what your name is. I'm sorry. I hope Donald Trump comes back and make America great again. I can't get into politics. I'm going to get the video pulled off of YouTube, but I will say this. When Donald Trump was president, I was not a fan. Not a fan. Some of the things the guy said, I was just like so cringy. I just found him obnoxious. I didn't like the guy. Let's put it that way. But I didn't think things could get any worse. But things are much, much worse. Much, much, much worse right now with the current president that we have. And the damage that's been done to the country and the economy in just a couple of years is staggering. The moral fabric of the country, everything is going to hell in a handbasket here. So I'd vote, if Donald Trump ran, I'd vote for him. If he ran him against Biden, I don't want to get too political, guys, but I'd vote for Trump again. Even though I was not a fan at all. But I'll tell you what, to me, it's one of those situations of the lesser of two evils. I'm not saying they're evil, but you know what I'm saying? South Park did an episode where they were sort of making fun of that whole concept with two candidates that were terrible choices. It was like a turd sandwich, and what was the other one? I can't remember, but it was hilarious. South Park's hilarious. Michael Russo, when we get DeSantis, here we go. How do we get into this conversation, guys? When we get DeSantis in the White House, we'll have a good-looking young Republican, which is good for the economy and everything else. Well, historically, Republicans have been much better for the economy. For whatever reason, you could say, well, because they're rich and they screw the poor, whatever. Whatever the reason is, historically, the economy does much better under Republican presidents and Republican-controlled Congress. They're good for business. They're just good for the economy. I'm not a deeply political person, so I'm not going to get into it because I'd sound stupid. That's why. Varangian, revive Ronald Reagan. Well, I mean, the only good thing about DeSantis is he's another Ronald like me. So, Ronald Reagan. He also says movies and comics were better in the Reagan years. Oh yeah, I mean the 80s. Geez, 80s movies. The 80s movies like all the Stallone movies, the Schwarzenegger movies, Van Damme movies. Oh, I love that crap. Love that crap. Even the cartoons like He-Man. It was all about jacked guys back then. Everybody wanted to be buff and jacked back then. And now they want to wear skirts and be soy boys, a lot of them. Mod Shahir, what is the selection criteria for judges? Do you think the names should be undisclosed? Well, we know who they are. Should they have their names next to scores to give to the athlete? I mean, it would be. I don't see a problem with having that accountability. So there's a whole process for judges. They have to start out as test judges at like the local NPC level. They have to judge local shows. Then they can go up to, regional level. I guess local and regional are kind of the same. Then there's like national level judging. And then they have to test judge to be a pro judge. So these people that are judges at these shows, at the Arnold, the Olympia, New York Pro, they've been doing it for a very long time. You don't see too many young people on the panel. Tyler Mannion's like an anomaly. Obviously, he's part of the family. He started judging very, very young. But most of these people, you don't see too many of them under like 40 or 50. The majority of them are in their 40s, 50s, 60s. Yeah, they've been around the sport a very long time, most of them. Please vote for Trump. If it's him and Biden, I'll tell you right now, 100% I'll vote for Trump. Yeah. Thoughts on M1T steroid? I don't know what the hell that is. Trump 2024. Oh, man. Let's see. Dave Thomas, we need an interview with Milos, Ron. Since the Arnold Show, only Jay and DJ have been brave enough thus far. We had an interview on this channel. The show that I do with Giles Thomas is called MD Power Hour. And we had Milos Sarcev on. It aired this Monday, 2 days ago. Please check that out. It's on this channel, MD Power Hour, Giles Thomas, Ron Harris, with special guest Milos Sarcev. And we went on for almost an hour and a half talking about the show. Giles was making an argument that he had Andrew winning Friday night, and he thought Samson peaked better for Saturday night, and Andrew didn't. It was a very lively discussion. It was cool. So, yeah, check that out, guys. We did have Milos on. Even if you don't like him, who cares? Yeah, Shota, yeah. I don't know. I don't hate anybody, guys. Certainly not any pro bodybuilders. They didn't give me any reason to hate them. Stuart Halpern, pass it on that you and other fans want to examine the entire score sheets. Give you something to talk about. They're afraid to associate judges, leave the names blank. I trust IFBB judging. Yeah, maybe you guys want to start a petition or something. I don't know. Shota Beberashvili. The problem with society these days, why does a man have to explain himself to trolls if he does or doesn't just like Ron? Do your thing, man. Thank you. I didn't have to. And you know what? Most of the time I should just leave it alone because I know it's just going to come right back and they love to argue. They're like, I got this Bob Chickerler, or I got this Ron Harris fired up. I got under his skin. He's all pissed off. He's fuming. Ooh. So I should just leave. I should totally just ignore it. I know I should. I should. Sometimes I'm not that smart, though, am I? I don't think they care about anything except what you look on stage, and I trust them. Nothing wrong. Still a gentleman with the Arabic name in Arabic. I'd call you by your name if I knew your name. I'm sorry. Nothing wrong with multiple wives. If you're allowed to have sex with many dudes and many girls, why is it legal to marry them? That's a very weird law. Believe me, I'm all about marriage and commitment and family and all that. And yeah, the whole promiscuity thing that's become like, you can't critique anybody. You can't criticize or judge anybody. And in fact, young women now, they're praised. They're encouraged to be promiscuous. They're told to have a hoe phase. You got to have a hoe phase. Like, go around, sleep with as many guys as you possibly can. You'll discover, you'll be empowered. You'll find yourself. You'll know what you like. And, then they wake up at like 35, 40 years old and they're not married and like, oh man, I guess I did want to get married. I did want to have kids, but now I know who wants me now after all that crap. Let me stop. Bodybuilding sport is hating on Big Ramy, says Donnell Johnson. No, he's still got millions of fans. How can you say that? And if Ramy retired right now, he's set for life. He could open up gyms, supplement stores, whatever. He could do anything. He's built an awesome reputation. He's got a great fan base. I'm not saying he should retire, but I'm saying if he wanted to, I'm sure he'd be fine. He's done the work. He's put in 10 years as a top pro. He's got 2 Olympia titles. So many appearances and so many fans. He'll be fine. Whatever he decides to do. but I think he's going to go for another Olympia. Come across the board. Oh. They don't hate Ramy. Judging is fair. I can't. I don't think the judges or anyone in the IFBB Pro League, I don't think they hate Ramy. People keep referring to the fact they didn't go to the guest posing in Pittsburgh last May. I don't know. I'm still curious as to why he didn't go, because we've never got an explanation. Maybe it was too private, and whatever reason Ramy had for not being able to go to Pittsburgh, maybe it was too private and personal. That's the only thing I can think of, because if he had just said, I'm sorry, I couldn't go because of this or because of that, I think that would have gone a long way all around. For nobody would be upset with him, because they'd be like, okay, well, you couldn't make it. I don't think he chose not to go. He'd been to that show a few times before. He knew how important that was. The Pittsburgh Pro show, very important show. That's the headquarters of the NPC, the IFBB Pro League. It's Jim Mannion's hometown. It's just like a respect thing that you go to that show. And Ramy's been to that show several times. So I think if he could have gone, he would have gone. I'm very curious why he didn't go. Ron, you do a great job, and you're a great historian of bodybuilding. Thank you, Mike R. Gentleman in Arabic again. I don't like Trump, but I think he cares about America the most. It seemed like it, didn't it? I mean, the hat said make America great again. Sorry for bringing up politics, but I want the best for you. I wish I could go there and vote. Michael Russo, not sure I LOL hate Big Ramy. No, how could you hate him? Thanks, man. Appreciate you saying I'm fun to listen to. Yeah, nobody who's met Ramy, maybe they could hate him for what? I don't know, because he's won Olympia, because they're just jealous because he's got that physique and he's done so well. I can't imagine why anybody would hate him. Why would anybody hate Ramy? Unless he's like personally wronged you, and I don't know anybody that can say that. Like our 80s, I was a fat kid. That was the best generation ever. I'd love to go back if there was a time machine. I was a skinny kid, and it was a great decade, man. The 80s was great. Great music, all the hair metal bands, great action movies, great shows on TV, Miami Vice, Magnum PI, The A-Team. Oh, man, the 80s. I love the 80s. Graduated in 1987. Deng Tui, Ramy should downsize. Imagine Ramy shredded 260, he'd be unbeatable. Speaking of unbeatable, Trump 2024. Somehow this became like a Trump supporter Trump supporting Trump 2024 conversation. Yeah, I've often said I'd like to see Ramy. He'd still be huge, but I'd love to see him dial it. Just try to come in like 270. I know, just throwing a number out there, but just more refined, just deeper cuts in the legs, a little smaller legs, so they're not as balloon-like. I'd love to see what Ramy would look like a little bit smaller. He'd still be huge, but I don't know if we'll ever see that. I don't think we've ever seen him below like 280, 285. I don't think he's ever competed lighter than that as a pro. I think when he won New York Pro 10 years ago, he was already 285. And he was the heaviest that I think he ever won a show at. When he won the Arnold Brazil years ago, wasn't in very good condition, but he was huge. He was 315. Whew, good Lord, 315. Raymond Jones, do a debate with Milos in the classic physique weight cap. That's an interesting one. Yeah, maybe. I personally don't want to see the weight cap change. And I did an interview with Logan Franklin the other day. That'll be up Monday, I think, and he doesn't want it to change. Most of the guys in Classic don't want it to change. They don't need it to change. The only guys who really want the weight caps increased are the ones who are having a really hard time getting down to their body weight that they're supposed to for their height. So they want to be able to come in bigger. But Classic has a weight limit for a reason, guys. It's it's like 212 has a weight limit for a reason. That's like the 212. Some 212 guys saying, "Oh, it was 202 when it started." Then they added 10 pounds, and there were still guys who would say it should be 220 or 225 because that's what they want to compete at. It's all just an individual thing. People just want to have the advantage over everybody else. So it's a sport. It's competitive. Tyler Durden, the Milos interview was great. Him and Giles got a little chippy. Yeah, you saw I was getting kind of nervous there. I thought they were getting like angry with each other, but they were just having a spirited debate. They disagreed on a couple issues regarding Samson's win. And, it's funny because someone in the comments section saying, I'm not going to watch this video. It's going to be a circle jerk. It's going to be 3 guys agreeing with each other. And it wasn't that at all. So I said, you should have watched the video. You would have seen. Why don't you go back and watch it, sir, and you'll see that was not the case. That was not 3 guys just saying, yep, 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 yep. No, not at all. It wasn't like that. Oh, face. Oh, Lord. Tyler Durden, Ron, you're one of the few journalists who wasn't harping on Derek doing the Arnold. Now everyone changing their tune after the fact. You know, it would have been nice to have him just because you want all the best people in every show. It's a greedy thing. Sorry, I'm getting dry mouth here. We want all the best guys in Olympia, and, you know, we know we're not going to get all the best guys at the Arnold. But we had most of them. We had, you know, out of the top 5, the only ones we were missing were, well, we're missing 3 out of the top 5. We were missing Hottie, Derek, and Brandon Curry. But we had Nick Walker, we had Ramy, we had Samson, we had Andrew. It was a great lineup. I thought this Arnold was one of the better lineups in a very long time. John Livia, who has a show called MD Muscle Talk on this channel. Check that out. It's one of those panel chat type shows with 4 or 5 guys up on screen at once. I heard through the grapevine that you'll be at the New York Pro. Well, I'm always there. I heard you're going to be there, John. So John's going to be doing some on-site commentary. Be curious to see how that goes with us, John, working together. I look forward to it. Yeah, you've got that very strong New York accent, so you'll be perfect for it. I have no accent, so it got bred out of me a long time ago. John Livia gave us $10. You didn't have to do that, John, but thank you. So, yeah, I look forward to John Livia working with me on site at the coverage. We're going to be there. You know, that's something, it's become, because YouTube has so many content creators now and so many bodybuilding content creators, a lot of them don't go to the shows because it costs money to go to the shows. You got to get your ass to the show somehow. You got to stay at a hotel. You got to arrange a press pass. You know, it's a lot more work to be there than to sit at home and just steal the webcast and commentate on it, which a lot of guys do now. But I still enjoy going to the shows. I've been going to these things since 1991. It was my first year going to pro shows, 1991. So I like being there. I like the atmosphere, the fans, the athletes, the judges, everyone. It's like a whole party, man. I mean, these are my people. These are people, a lot of people I've known for 20, 30 years. I see at these things. Native Son, what the F? I feel like this is a borderline assaulted insult on Ramy as a bodybuilder. Olympia champion, if he's sick, Bob is wrong for this. Remember if they start forcing and fading. Matt Muscle, you're doing a great job, Ron. Thank you, man. Gentleman with an Arabic name. Again, if you tell me what your name is, I'll call you by your name instead of, because I can't read that. I think when you take insulin, it's hard to have so much detail. When you take it before a workout, it fills the muscles and can't perform to the fullest. Spare after you take it makes a huge difference. I mean, I'm not an insulin expert, Milos is, but a lot of people have speculated that the lack of crisp separation and striations that we're seeing in a lot of the guys is because they use insulin to come in really big and full. It's great to be big and full, but you want to have the detail too. If you think of the best guys like Dorian, Ronnie, Phil Heath, they were huge, but they had crazy detail. It wasn't just big bloofy muscles. There were striations and splits and all kinds of cool things going on. And, you know, it's funny. I don't think Phil could have been abusing insulin the way people accuse him of if he had been doing tons of insulin, like they said. He wouldn't have looked that way, is what I'm saying. John Livia again. John says, where am I? Gosh. Agreed about the weight cap. Thank you. I like when people agree with me. I said another $10? Did you just give us another $10? That's enough, man. You're good. Let's see. Agree about the weight cap. It's okay. Call me what you want. I'm bodybuilding fan of you. Call me Ron's fan. Hello. Well, no, you have a name. I'm going to call you by your name. Unless you just want to stay anonymous. That's fine. I just feel stupid because I can't read your name because I can't read anything but English, and that barely. John Levy, I support the ones who support me. Ding tweet, Ron, off topic completely. What are your thoughts on saunas? You never hear the pros talking about them. I rate them. A lot of people are into saunas. They feel it detoxifies you, helps recovery process. I'm not a fan of the heat in general. Like my gym has a steam room. I've been going there for 6 years, this particular gym. And the gym I went to before that for over 10 years, they had a steam room. Did they have a sauna too? I never used it once. I don't like the heat. But a lot of people swear by the benefits. A lot of people like these cold baths. You know, the freezing water too. Whatever makes you feel better. Tyler Durden, Raw New York Pro is always insane. The year Evan Senapani one was the best crowd. It was insane. You know, years before when it was a New York Pro, but before that, it's a different show because it's got a different name and different promoter now. But it's basically a continuation of the Night of Champions, which is, I believe it was the first pro show that was the only other show added. You know, for many years, the only pro show in the IPB was the Olympia. They had one pro show a year for a while. And then they started adding more shows. And I think Night of Champions in New York was the first additional contest. And they've had, like Ronnie won that, Flex Wheeler, Paul Dillette, Marcus Rule. I think like everybody. Kevin Leveroni won that. Nasser won that. Some great champions. But since it's been New York Pro, I actually had to make some notes on it. Who won that? Since it's been the New York Pro, Ramy won it twice. Kai Green won it twice. Dexter won it. Rowley won it. Branch. Did I say Phil? Because Phil won it. Yeah. It's always been a really high quality show. John says, 100%. I took insulin. I gained like 15 pounds in a month. Notice I can't go hard and explosive, but I took it after I could. Yeah, I used it for one winter, and I got big. Oh, Abdullah. Like Abdullah Al-Tabi, the famous coach over there in Kuwait. Thank you for saying that, Abdullah. Yeah, thanks for saying your name. I like to call people by name if I can. Abdallah. You're Abdullah Abdallah. He's Abdullah Al-Otabi. Otabi? That's the coach, Ramy's old coach, Abdullah. And he's still Brandon Curry's coach. He's coached a bunch of people. They have another guy there, Ahmad Asghar, who coaches a lot of people out of that gym too in Kuwait, Oxygen Gym. Yeah, when I took insulin, I did it wrong because you're not supposed to have fat. You're just supposed to have straight carbs. And I would have like 5 or 6 big cookies after every workout with 20 units of insulin. I think I was doing it pre-workout with like a carb shake. And then post-workout, I was having like whey protein and cookies, like chocolate chip cookies, oatmeal raisin cookies, whatever, sugar cookies. You're not supposed to have fat. So I messed up, and that's why I got fat. But that was the biggest I ever was. I was like almost 250. Very big for me, but I was a mess. I was a sloppy fat F. Oh, it looked so disgusting. My head looked like a pumpkin. You're not dumb? No, I'm not dumb. I'm not a dumb guy. I'm not a genius, but I'm not stupid. But thank you. Anyway, geez, 5:30? Wow. All right, guys. I'm going to get going. I haven't even taken a shower yet for my workout a few hours ago. I always have to tell you the stupidest things. I got to go walk my dog. I got to go take a shower, but you know. So thank you guys for watching so much. If you're watching this on the replay, leave some comments below. I do get back to all the comments. I want the feedback. It's good for the algorithm, whatever the heck that is. Thank you, Tyler. Thanks to all you guys who were part of the chat. That's the only way these live things really work. Otherwise, it's just me sitting and thinking something to talk about. But again, I wish Ramy nothing but the best. I hope he can recapture his best look. I hope he wins Mr. Olympia back. He's a great guy. I'd love to see him succeed further. And that's it. Yeah, appreciate you guys all watching. Check us out next time. Later, guys.